Sistine was the love of my life. She was funny, bright, and had a way of cutting through bullshit that would knock you on your ass. She could crochet a scarf as easily as she could recite a monologue from the office, and could fix a flat tire, change your oil, and call you an idiot for not knowing how to do these things yourself in one fluid motion. I loved the way she snort laughed, the way she rested her head on my shoulder when we hugged, the way she strutted in her favorite heels or her bootcut jeans or my hoodies. I miss her every day. It happened on the 4th of July. Or maybe Memorial Day. I just remember the boisterous red, white, and blue wreath on our front door, and that the ER was packed when I brought her in. Sistine was 32 weeks pregnant. She had endometriosis, so the pregnancy was already high risk. When she said she wasn't feeling well one morning, I insisted she see a doctor. She put up a bit of a fight. She did that a lot. She wouldn't do anything she didn't think of first, but she relented when her pain worsened. That said, she wouldn't take an ambulance. I loaded her into my car and drove. "How are you feeling, babe?" I asked. Sistine groaned, "D, for Christ's sake, I'm fine." "Is the pain getting any worse?" I began. "On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you?" She interrupted Dakota. "I love you, but if you keep talking, you will lose the ability to ever father a child again." I did as I was told and turned my attention back to the road. I peeked at the rear view, catching a glimpse of the car seat in the back. I hoped we wouldn't have to use it just yet. When we arrived, they put us in an exam room, gave us some paperwork, and told us someone would be with us shortly. I stopped checking the time after 2 hours. Despite the cacophony of drunks with newly missing fingers outside, Sistine and I remained pretty much silent. Every so often, she would tell me I was breathing too loudly, or that the hospital smells were making her nauseous, or that she would have brought her crochet stuff with her if she'd known she would be waiting so long. Occasionally, it was just an exasperated sigh or an eye roll. You'd think for someone who feigned nonchalance so much, she'd be better at it. Eventually, a team came in to take a look at her. They took vitals and asked questions. Sistine asked what took so long while fiddling with her red yarn ring enough to make it fray. She leaned back to look at me through the people examining her. "D," she asked, reaching her hand out to me, "can you get me some water?" "Sure thing, babe." I took her hand, squeezed it, and shuffled into the hallway. I wandered for a little bit before finding a couple vending machines. As I retrieved a water bottle from the compartment on the side, there was a commotion. Codes called, yelling, the squeaking wheels of gurneys and crash carts. I glanced behind me, only to see Sistine being wheeled away. My feet pounded against the linoleum floor as I ran after her, only to be stopped by an orderly. "Sir," they put their hands on my chest to prevent me from going further. "Sir, you can't go back there." "Where are you taking Sistine?" I craned my neck to locate her, but she disappeared around a corner. The orderly spouted a stream of jargon, rambling on about D-cells and hemorrhaging. It all boiled down to the woman I love and our child were in peril, and I was powerless. They brought me to the waiting room and sat me down in the corner between a screaming baby and a television playing some soap opera. All I could do was close my eyes and lean my head back. Sistine and I met a little over a year ago. She helped me find charcoal pencils at a craft store in exchange for my number. Within weeks, she had a toothbrush and a set of crochet hooks at my place, and I had a half a sketchbook's worth of drawings of her. When she did properly move in, suddenly my entire apartment was covered in granny squares, colorful paint, and sip canvases, and half-empty bottles of Mod Podge and glitter glue. I complained about it then, but I would give anything to live in that mess again. It was maybe a month that I told her I loved her. We were on a commercial break during a rerun of Scrubs. She just smiled, shrugged, and said that she figured as much, while fidgeting with the tassel on the throw pillow beside her. Around the time of our 6-month anniversary, Sistine slipped the news of her pregnancy between passing the salt and asking if it was butter or margarine in the potatoes. She kept her eyes on the plate, but she couldn't hide her beet red face or raw cuticles, and she certainly couldn't hide the tears streaking her face when she finally broke. "Please don't run," she begged as I came around the table to comfort her. "Please don't leave me." I went over to her big pile of yarn and cut a few inches of her favorite, a crochet thread of variegated red, and tied it around her finger. "Call it an engagement ring," I said, holding her hand in mine. Wiping the tears from her eyes, Sistine whispered, "I always knew you were cheap. I love you." I wrapped my arms around her and she melted into my chest. "Wait." Sizzin backed up. She cut another piece of the red yarn and tied it around my finger. "Here, so no one goes getting any ideas." I held up my hand to admire the ring, but I was looking at her. Perfect. The weight was excruciating. I counted the ceiling tiles, paced enough to leave a dent in the carpet, and bummed smokes off anyone I could. After the third hour, I finally approached the front desk. "Excuse me," I sighed. "Can you give me an update on my girlfriend? I still haven't heard anything." "Sure thing, honey." The older nurse gave me a warm smile and turned to her computer monitor. "What's your girlfriend's name, sweetheart?" I gave her Sistine's name. She cocked her head. "I'm sorry, my love. I don't see her in our system." "What?" I asked. "What does that mean? Is she out of surgery or is she?" "No, her name isn't even our system." She put her hand on mine. "I'll tell you what, baby. Have a seat. I'll call you up to the surgical floor and see if she's up there. If maybe she just got missed, it can happen." I returned to my seat and watched her make the call. I watched her speak to the person on the other end and furrow her brow. I watched her stumble over her words and nod before hanging up. I watched her repeat the process several more times. Sistine wasn't in the operating room. She wasn't in recovery. She wasn't being prepped. She wasn't even in the morgue. She was just gone. Sistine couldn't just be gone. It's not possible. I stumbled out of the hospital waiting room like I had a bullet in my gut and my ears rang accordingly. I slid into the driver's seat of my car and buried my head in my hands. When I was able to compose myself enough to drive, something caught my eye. My air freshener. It was a little black pine tree dangling from my wiper switch. Sistine never liked black ice. She said it was a guy scent and that it didn't smell like anything. When I told her that I didn't care for the vanilla or cherry or peach ginger spritz scents that she used, she told me that she'd meet me in the middle. She bought me leather, bourbon, and fresh shave. They were still guy scents, but they smelled like something. I haven't used black ice in over a year, and I took the air fresheners out of my car altogether when they started making Sistine nauseous. But there it was. Black ice? I figured I must have left it in there without realizing it. Maybe I put it back when Sistine wasn't with me. That sounds like something I might do. As I drove home, I checked my side mirror to see someone riding my tail. People drive crazy here. I looked into my rear view to get a look at this asshole, but instead, I saw my empty back seat. I slammed on my brakes, making the guy almost hit me. He laid on his horn as I pulled over and climbed into the back seat. It was empty, just a few fast food wrappers and an ice scraper. My hands were grease-stained for days after installing that car seat. It couldn't have just... I got back into the driver's seat and sped all the way home. Racing to my apartment, I could already see the plain front door, and as I entered, I fell to the floor. The walls were bare of paint by numbers and diamond arts, and the couch held nothing more than its gray cushions. My sketchbooks were blank. My bedroom was devoid of color, only a black comforter and navy blue sheets. My closet didn't have a speck of glitter or lace in sight. The worst of it was the nursery, or what was the nursery? Sistine and I spent weeks rolling the walls with soft blue paint and dabbing sponges of white across the ceiling. We spent hours researching cribs and changing tables and rocking chairs. We'd had damn near knocked down, drag out fights about what should be close to the window and what should be close to the door. Now it was empty. It was the home office it used to be. A desk, a chair, a laptop. I could barely keep myself erect. I slammed my back against the far wall and slid down to the floor. I stared at the yarn ring on my finger. Hot tears crawled down my cheeks. I hadn't cried like that since I was a kid. Maybe not even then. I had been grieving every moment since. I tried to call her family, but their contacts were gone from my phone along with her pictures. Even the ultrasound image framed on my desk at work was gone. I can't even have a funeral for them. There's nothing to bury and no one to mourn, so I'm eulogizing them. Sistine was the love of my life, and I have not experienced joy since she left. I would give anything to have the life we were supposed to have, one with the two of us and our baby. I still wear the ring, and I don't plan on taking it off.